Welcome to Every Night is Game Night, because we all love game nights with our family and friends. But when you play solo games, then every night can be a game night. Check us out along with other great podcasts at dicetowernetwork.com.
Every Night is Game Night, episode 184. Top 10 Beyond the Hotness solo games. Yo, my peoples, what's up? Welcome back to Every Night is Game Night, the podcast that helps you get your head in the game. As I announced last week, we are here with a big banging top 10 list. It was a little bit of an adventure putting this together. We have different approaches over here, but we are talking top 10 Beyond the Hotness solo games. Liz and Jeremy are back. Welcome back, guys.
Hey, party.
Hey.
Yay.
And we wanted to bring you this list because for a bunch of reasons. First of all, everybody's asking, what do I want to play? What should I play? It's like, okay, we got to put together a top list. Well, let's put together a top list. There's many lists out there, including our own friend Liz Davidson, who did top 10 solo games for the Dice Tower.
I did. It's actually the first time I've done the top 10 solo games publicly. So it's probably different already, but we'll just leave it for now. Except for Mage Knight. Mage Knight forever.
If you saw that,
Mage Knight ain't going.
If you saw that list, you saw, games that are popular, games that are known. And it's like, okay, we could have, and so I'm talking to Jeremy, and Jeremy's like, let's do a top 10 list. But it's like, oh, okay, we're going to probably talk about a lot of the same games. Let's go a different way. Let's take a left turn. So it was actually Jeremy's idea to do something a little bit off the beaten path. Right, my man?
Yeah, man. I wanted to do something just slightly different because I think there's, the hotness, there's, what would you play last year? But then there's also like, hey, man, like, what are some off the beaten path? Maybe I never heard of before. Solo board gamers always ask, hey, what games are there out there? And we often go to the ones that are the most recent, the ones that we got in our Kickstarters, just got, and they're your favorite game, So I wanted to find those games, and there's some great ones in here that I just, hear about all the time. Mm-hmm. So even though people love them, they just mention them all the time. So figure we find some of those and talk about them.
So we're going to jump right into top 10 Beyond the Hot List solo games. So my criterion for this was I looked at the top 100 solo list and I said, okay, none of you. From 2019, I'm like, none of you guys. I went even beyond the 100 to get. I think 7 of my games didn't even chart on a 200. So I think I did pretty good over here. So that's kind of very basic how I approach lists. How'd you guys approaching your lists?
I went for games that I thought were kind of falling out of favor a little bit or not mentioned as much anymore, but that I still like and think are good. I don't really know how to be totally off the beaten path anymore because I don't know what other people do and don't know. I spend so much time reading game news that I can't accurately gauge that anymore. But I did go for games that are a little older or that are a little bit less publicly loved, but I still think deserve some love.
Yeah, that was my move. My move was like because I'm kind of more of a pulse, what's going on and what people are seeing, what people are talking about. And I just I said to myself, like, what are these games that I call essential, but then I also hear nobody ever talk about? Or if they're a game that like is known for its multiplayer, and like people go, oh, that has a solo mode, isn't any good. There's a couple of those on there, and there's one game from last year which nobody talks about at all, and I don't know why. And I'm just really excited to talk about it. A lot of these games are from a couple years back, but yeah, they are smaller games.
Are we going to have 30 unique games, or are we going to have some crossover? What do you guys think?
We may have one.
That Jeremy's prediction is one crossover.
I don't know.
I think we're going to hit 30 unique games. I think our tastes are different enough that we're going to hit 30. But what do you think, Liz?
I think there'll be a crossover somewhere.
Yep, I think one.
Because it'll be you two, because I don't think these people are playing the games I have listed.
There are two possibles, because we both like these two games, but yeah.
All right.
We'll see. We'll see.
So no mage.
It'll just be a sign of our excellent taste if we have
There you go.
crossover. So.
No,
All right.
no Mage Knight, no Spirit Island, no Terraforming Mars. Not that. No, we got no time for that. You guys know that already.
What are you talking about? My list is like that and like size.
Did you say Terraforming Mars?
None of that. That game is good.
Well, you might want to stay tuned to my top 10 games I hate on Dice Tower coming out. All right. It's gonna be a ride. Mr. Positivity is turning to the dark side.
Oh no.
So, stay tuned.
Very nice. But let us get, without further ado, let's get on to our number 10s. We're going to go ladies first over here. We're going to go with Liz. What is your number 10, top 10 beyond the hot list solo games?
Ooh, all right. So my number 10 used to be a hot list game, I think, but isn't any longer, especially because it does have more competitors on the scene now. But for me, old is still sometimes good. And for me, that is Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. I think that I think that they're thinking more about things like Detective City of Angels or
Chronicles of Crime.
Chronicles of Crime. But I, especially actually right now, during like a kind of quarantined at home phase, something like Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective is so nice. It's like reading the paper with an added mystery. Make some tea, hang out. There's not as many pieces to set up. It's just a very relaxing experience, especially with the Space Cowboys cleaned up versions of the game with less typos and fewer case-breaking errors. I think that, I didn't really mind in the older one, to be honest with you, because I love the experience of playing the game. It's like the perfect combination of reading and playing a game. And sometimes old is good.
Yeah. All right. So, Jeremy, what do you got for number 10?
All right. So, this game, I realized when I did the adventure games on top 10 from Dice Tower, a lot of people just had no idea. I gave Tom some big crap for this one. It is Dawn of the Peacemakers.
So this almost made my number 11. Number 11.
I was like, I have to put this on this list. Nobody knows this game. So, yeah, this one is a really, really special game. It's it's a skirmish game, it's a hand management game, and it's also a campaign-ish, like it's a campaign, not legacy, but it's a campaign. And you're basically, there's a war going on, and you are supposed to help. You're kind of like trying to get them to tie. So there's a little bit of like war going on. You're playing these cards, and you're trying to like maybe get people to like be shy and go away, or you're trying to attack certain people on both sides, but you're walking around and trying to convince these people what to do. So you're kind of sharing a space with them and telling like, hey, take out that archer over there, or hey, hunker down. Everybody come around and hunker down and like save this person. And all your choices matter, and it kind of goes through these different scenarios. But it's so well laid out. It's such a high production quality, and you can just tell like this was a total passion project by the publisher. Like, you can just tell it was just all his heart put into that game, because Dale and the Merchants is his own thing, and it's a different game. And this is like the whole boatload of what he wanted to do, and it's not even a deck builder, I believe, like that one is. So yeah, you definitely want to check that one out. It's a beast, and it's such a high quality from the second you open the box through the entire experience.
And I believe the publisher, Sammy Lasco, was on your channel, right, Liz?
Yeah, actually I interviewed him about this game.
Yeah.
All right. Very good. Almost made the list.
Yeah.
He stood clear of a crossover. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to reach back a couple of years for my number 10. I tended to favor kind of lighter games, just, when I feel like I want to relax. This one is a dueling combat game called Flash Duel. This is a second edition game from Robert Burke, and it is like if you guys have played BattleCon from Level 99. Okay. Or, like kind of an anime style arena combat game, but all cards, all card driven. So it's like you got spaces, and it's like if you're 5 spaces away, I'm going to hit you with this big attack. And if you're 3 spaces away, I'm going to hit you with this big attack. And if you you get hit here and I play this dodge card, and you go back and forth, and it has like this really kind of neat AI system of, it's not like, the best game in the world, but just if I just want to play something quick and fast and fun and like a combat game, because sometimes I want that. Flash Duel is a really amazing, little product. Second edition has like, upgraded components, all little extra bits in there. Hard to find, but it's worth it. I have seen it like in the secondary market. So if you guys want to check out like a quick little 1 to 2 player dueling game, that is Flash Duel.
Yeah, I'm ordering it right now.
You're giving away games, Jerry.
I'm ordering
You're
it
not
right
getting
now.
them back. I really, really dig Flash Duel. So that was my number 10. All right. So is that rare enough for you guys yet? Is that, are we going? Do you guys out in the audience figure out that we're not going on the beaten path yet? Just wait until you see a couple of more chances, a couple more choices. All right. So we are going to go to our number 9. I think we're just going to go in a circle. We're going to start with Liz again.
Sure. All right. So my number 9, you did that video on One Stop Co-op Shop, Jason, about all the different pandemics and what's the best pandemic. But it's not the only disease game out there. So I added Infection, Humanity's Last Gasp, which is a victory point game about, patient zero. And, it's like a very puzzly little game where you're looking to basically find antidotes to the disease. And you can hire all these different scientists to help you, and you can get different medical equipment that'll help you. But some of the scientists can't work together because there's workplace drama. There's all this little story going on quietly in the cards as you play. And I think it's delightful. It's an app, but I don't really know how good the app is because I always think I'm going to play apps and then don't. So if we're being
the
real,
app is actually really good. It's
awesome.
A really good app. I played it for a while, and then it's a puzzle. So like eventually you kind of move on, from it. But for the plays that I did have, it was very good.
Yeah, and it's been it's one of those games that I can give a rest for a while and then come back. So I just think it's a charming one, and especially. Given that people are like, play Pandemic. It's like, well, you could actually try something like Infection. It's a nice little puzzle.
All right. Jeremy, what's your number 9?
Number 9 is actually a game that came out late last year. So it's kind of in that hotness window, but I don't think I haven't seen one person talk about it yet. And that is Football Highlights 2015.
Okay.
I just feel like this one right here is special. Basically, so if you know baseball highlights, this one is it's a deck. It's not a deck builder. I believe I haven't played baseball highlights, by the way.
What?
No, I have not. That's really weird.
Neither have I.
No,
yeah, it's just really
an amazing
weird.
Game. Also, I do have an Enjoy Football Highlights. But yes, you were correct. It's good. Continue.
So basically, you are playing football. You start on a 40-yard line, and you're playing these cards. You have your hand of cards. The AI has this deck of cards, and you can draft and make a specialized hand or whatnot. And you're playing against this AI deck, which, believe me, it's stacked against you. It's really tough. And what you're doing is you're playing cards that are kind of simulating plays, run or pass, and they have different footballs on them that you're trying to line up against or kind of opposite of the defense. So you can kind of trick them and throw a pass instead of a run. And the defense is trying to line up footballs to stop you on your end. And you don't even have to know football to do this. But the cool part about the game is that it's like a multi-use card. So when you play defense, you're going to switch that and it's going to turn to offense. So it's kind of like not just playing the card, hey, I need to get this big defensive play. It's like I'm also going to try to flip it and pay attention to, the opposite flip of it. And it's just a really neat card system. It's even got audibles for people who are aware of football, so you can even like switch a card out at the last second, and kind of be like, oh, hey, I know what this play is. I'm going to switch it up and call it at the line and then go for it. Really, really cool.
You're from Wisconsin. They love the football up there.
Yeah, we do. We just run the ball all the time.
So here's what I will tell you. I think the reason that Football Highlights has not gotten as much attention, it is a good game, but man, Baseball Highlights, that was like catching lightning in a bottle. That game is so good. I own everything for it. I have bought every expansion for that game. I have sleeved all of the cards for that game. I love it. Baseball Highlights 2045 is great. So I think that the reason that Football Highlights doesn't get as much attention as it might deserve is that its older brother is a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
All right, so that was Football Highlights. My number 9, actually, I played this one with Liz at PAX, but she had food poisoning at the time, so I don't think she enjoyed it as much as she could have.
Oh, you have a Shadow Rift.
Shadow Rift, my man. My favorite deck builder. Sorry. I know I've besmirched the honor of Aeon's End, but this one just has like a really warm feeling in my heart. It's not the most smoothest mechanical deck build in the world. It's kind of a mess. Especially when it comes a little bit later. Like in the end game, it could be a little bit, kind of wonky. I should say that it's wonky, but I love the cooperation, and I love the fact that you're defending a town and you can build a deck for yourself or the town. The town is a separate deck with villagers and with walls and all sorts of stuff you can put in that kind of separate area. I just think it just has a lot of personality. Like, and I love games that try to have personality, even if they end up being a bit mechanically wonky. I will forgive it as long as it has some character. Lots of expansions. I just got the Boomtown expansion which was a delivered Kickstarter. Still gotta get that to the table. But man, Shadow Rift is really good. A really good game that I never hear anybody talk about.
Huh.
Did I surprise you again, Jeremy?
You know what? I remember seeing that game back in the day, and I never really gave it a chance. So yeah, I'm just gonna write some of these things down. We got some uniqueness going on here.
Oh, we're sharing right now.
We're sharing.
Sharing is caring. All right, so that was my number 9, Shadow Rift. Liz, we are heading up to number 8. So we're gonna go in a nice big circle. Number 8, top 10 Beyond the Hotness solo game.
Yes, well, it is crossover time because I also put Dawn of Peacemakers on the list. Jeremy's absolutely right.
Ooh.
This game did not get enough love. It's just such an interesting system. And I did interview Sami Laxo about the game, and we had this whole conversation about, violence in the pursuit of peace and how you do have to choose units that get whacked in the process of the game, and how does that work with pacifism? And, the game just raises so many interesting questions, especially because so many board games are based on violence and getting the bad guy. And, just as an entry into the field, the fact that it's something different alone makes it worthy of note. But the fact that it's done well makes it extra worthy of note for me.
All right. Almost a 3-way crossover, but just missed the list for me. But yes, I love Dawn of Peacemakers. It's a really good game. Number 8 for you, Jeremy.
Number 8 is a roll and write that Liz and I love. I hope to gosh this is not on your list too. It's Metro X. Wait, we might have some crossover here.
You can guarantee that game is not on my list. You kidding me?
You love that game too. So basically, it's a roll and write, and it's a kind of a complex roll and write. You basically have these cards, and you're basically using numbers, and you're trying to kind of create this route to this intersection and the different numbers. Almost think of almost like a Sudoku puzzle in a sense, I guess, because you're trying to build these routes with numbers. It's been a while since I played this game, by the way. I had to break that out. But Liz, maybe you could do a better job explaining this to me right now, because I'm trying to think of how I explain that you're kind of eliminating numbers and you're trying to go through this route at the same time. And there's connections that you're building, but the connectors also factor into what numbers you've used for another route. And you're really going through these different routes that are in Japanese cities. And they've kind of simulated that. And because of how crazy that network of, how these things, trains and stuff move around, it's super crazy to look at visually. And it's a really good puzzle to play on your own. It's highly portable, and they also have an expansion for it. It is an expensive game for a roll and write, but it is probably one of the best of them all. So, yeah, that's one of the...
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. Metro X is fabulous.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. It's fabulous in the way of, it is going to appear further on your list. Look at her smile. She's like, I'm not going to say too
crossover,
much here.
So we're going to keep it over on 3 now? Yeah.
Wow, you guys are aligning a lot more than I thought. Okay, well, actually, this one may be on your list, Jeremy. I'm not sure. But this one, number 8. This one came out, was it last year or 2 years ago? It is Dice Settlers. So, Dice Settlers it's from NSKN, and their bigger release that same year was Teotihuacan. And that could have made the list because I don't see a ton of people, but enough people talk about it where it's like, okay, that one's there. I love Teotihuacan. That's great solo. Dice Settlers it's like a roll for the galaxy type game. So you have custom dice and you're just rolling them, and you start small and you're trying to kind of improve your dice pool in certain ways so that either you can generate resources, you can generate attack, and you're kind of growing a shared land. But it's all about the dice, all about dice comboing. And the reason I put it on this list is because I believe the solo bot is the best solo bot I've played, because it's 4 pages long, and that's not what you want in a solo bot. However, once you kind of grok it, it makes so much sense.
Yeah, it does. It's a little weird at first. like how the resources I think stack up or something like that.
It's
I
a
remember
wheel.
that.
Like it's a wheel, and you have to kind of put dice along the outside of a wheel. But once you figure out what the dice are doing and how the dice respond to you, like I think that it actually has a little bit of AI-ish behavior going on. So like it responds to what you're doing. Yeah. So if you're doing a lot of conquering, it's going to like, kind of go at you a little bit. If you're trying to gather a bunch of resources, you're going to try to take some away. It's really smart like that. And it's like, wow, this is like a really, it's the closest thing to an actual AI that I've seen a solo bot achieve, as opposed to the auto mode, which can be random. So I just really appreciate that solo bot, and I can play it even now. And it came out with the expansion, which nobody's talking about. But hey, Dice Settlers is really good, still in my collection, and that's my number 8.
How was the expansion?
I do not have the expansion, but I see it.
Yeah, I'm gonna give that game a second chance. I'm gonna give it a second chance. So I'll be tracking that one down.
Biggie, give me one more chance. There it is.
Hey man, baby, come back. You can blame it all on me. Blame it all on me.
Come on, Liz. Where's your 90s song? Come on, sing it.
Bye, bye, bye. I don't know. What's my Nancy Dawson's?
Seeing as my song is from the 70s, that just lets you know how close I am to the other side of my life.
Oh, man.
I am on the other side.
All right. So that was our number 8, collective number 8s. We're moving on to number 7. We'll go back to Liz.
Yeah. So let's just go ahead and get Metro X out of the way.
There you
go. But it's just so good. And actually, one thing that the reason it's actually not higher on the list is because I don't think it's going to be obscure for too much longer, because they are, I think, localizing it for the United States. I'm pretty sure Metro X is going to be published in an Americanized version soon. The images that I saw of it did not look as cool to me as the Japanese version.
I think Stronghold's probably going to bring it over.
But yeah, I do think it's going to get brought over, and I think that that's a good thing, because it's honestly a roll and write that everybody who's sneezed at a roll and write thought was pretty good should try. Mm-hmm. It's great. All
right. That was Metro X, number 7. We've heard enough about Metro X. You will not hear the third time
ever
about Metro X. Your dirty rolling rights. Keep those to yourself. Yeah. All right, Jeremy, let's hit us up with your number 7.
Liz, I'm worried. Here we go. I'm worried.
Okay. All right.
This is After the Virus.
That's definitely on Liz's list. There's no question about that.
No,
I've already heard.
What?
Okay, I heard about After the Virus. I think it was 2 years ago, and it was at Essen. And I remember Ronald doing a run through of it, and I was like, "Oh, this is pretty neat." And then I tracked it down. It was like $17 on Amazon. So I think I told you about it, Liz. I was like, "This game is $17. It's great, and it's really just a deck builder. You're like you're using your deck, and there's monsters. These zombies are coming, and you basically are trying to take them out and upgrade yourself. So you have like shotguns and all this different stuff. When I say this game is simple, but it gets really tough.
Yeah.
It's like super tough. And I'm definitely not doing a good job explaining this one, but I would tell you that even if you don't like the theme, it's really about the puzzle that you're trying to, pull off during this thing. Because you're like, it could take out your arm, your leg, and something like that.
What's also so cool about it is that the zombies go into your deck every round. So you are trying to use cards in your deck to fight zombies, but the more cards you take out of your deck, the thinner your deck gets, which means that there's a lot of zombies in there. Then you could pull like a whole hand worth of zombies, and maybe you didn't prepare well for them. And so things get more and more stressful the longer it takes you to beat it, until there's a point where you just took too long. Bye.
Yeah. And I think it only has 4 scenarios, but they're just hard.
It's got more than that, but they're real tough. Like the first one's fine, but after that they get really tough.
After the first one, it's like gloves off. Let's go.
I have not played After the Virus. I've heard about it many times from both of you and other people. But you are right. It doesn't get a lot of love. It is by the designer of Terraforming Mars, one of my favorite games. So how can it be bad?
That game? Oh, Oh, excuse me. Sorry. I have gas. Sorry.
How dare you besmirch the good name of Terraforming Mars? How dare you?
Sorry, I have gas.
All right, so my number 7. So this is where my list gets a little bit wonky. There's some games that are kind of definitely I haven't heard anybody talk about these games. So my number 7 is The Dwarves. In German, it is Die Zwerge, right? Die Zwerge. I have no idea. I don't speak German. But
the first one's probably more right.
it's something close. But The Dwarves is a pandemic-style cooperative game that is based on a novel series, a German-only novel series. It's apparently very popular over there. And it's you do your pandemic stuff like orcs and elves and people are like the disease and they're crawling all over the land, and you are dwarves and you have to basically fight these guys back, but in a fantasy setting. So like imagine fantasy pandemic, but better than Defense of the Realm. So Defense of the Realm was too long and too much going on. This one cuts down like a half hour of it, so you get like an hour power packed of running around the land, and like little pieces of novel are kind of strung in there. So like you have the named characters, the council members, and you're improving favor with the council. And it's like, I'm doing pandemic stuff, but this is really awesome. And I really like it. I can't find it anywhere. I think it's been printed and then like not printed anymore, like 500 copies released in the US, and then that's it. But if you guys can find a copy of The Dwarves and you like cooperative games, that style of cooperative game at all, I highly recommend it. I love it.
Huh.
So I'm definitely like making Jeremy like, I haven't heard of these games. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
was my goal, man. That was my goal.
Well, here's the thing. The best part about what I try to tell people is like, if it's after 2015, I played it all. But if it's before that, my knowledge stops there. I mean, I came back into gaming around that time. So, I try to tell people, like, if it's something you think, don't worry. I don't know all these games anyway. Like, tell me. I want to know, so.
Nice.
Yeah, man. Some of this stuff sounds cool. I'm going to try it out.
All right. So that was The Dwarves. We are going on to our number 6s. Liz, hit us with your number 6.
Yeah, my number 6 is one that used to make the top 100, but no longer does. And it's a Civ game. It is Nations.
Okay.
I actually really, really enjoy Nations. It's got that. It's one of those games where you have to really work with limited resources to try to build up as much as you can. You're building new buildings. You're building new monuments. You're controlling how many workers you put out, where you choose to put them, because you need the right amount of food. You need the right amount of iron. You need, there's all these different resources that you're having to manage, and you just never seem to have enough. And trying to make a lot out of a little never ceases to be fun for me. I really, really like that game. I like it multiplayer. I like it solo. And I just kind of feel like because it's not a very sexy looking game, that it's kind of fallen into obscurity a little bit, and that's a shame. I really, really get a kick out of it every time I play it.
Well, I mean, I think people are playing through the ages, and they're playing through the ages on the app, and like it does a lot of the, it's not the same game, obviously, but like if you want like a big honking Euro Civ game, you're probably going to play that one. And Nations hasn't been updated. I think they expanded it once, right?
Yeah, yep. Yeah. There's a Dynasties expansion. Yeah.
So then, it's kind of fallen off, but it's still good. I played it once and I was like, okay, I'll play this again. No, definitely heavier than anything even close on my list.
But I love it. I love it.
That was Nations at Liz's number 6. Jeremy, what is your number 6 game?
Oh man, this took me back when so by the way, let me just go ahead and say it. So this is one of my big things as a solo gamer. A lot of the time, especially when I was a little bit younger, I had a lot of stuff that I was always on the road, or when my son was a baby, he's a baby, we had to go to the hospital a lot, or, I was just going a lot of different places all the time with the kid, and stuff. And I needed 15, 20 minutes. What can I play? So I kind of became addicted to games that were like highly portable. And the one that I really fell in love with, one of the first ones I fell in love with was Mintworks. So if you don't know when I say mint means, these are actually games that are in mint tins. They look just like a tin of Altoids. It's probably exactly the same size. And there are different types of games. So this one is a worker placement game, but the workers are mints. They look exactly like mints. Do not eat them. They're not edible. They are mints. They just look like mints. And you're placing them on these different locations. And in this game, it's a worker placement game. So you're placing them on these different locations trying to go to different types of buildings, like the wholesaler, the crowdfunder, the producer, recycler. And when you place them on there, you may get mints back and gain them. And what you're trying to do with those mints is buy different buildings to create buildings that score points. It's really, really simple game. It's a very, very good teaching game for people who want to learn worker placement, and you want to teach people who are not, don't know games that well. It's perfect for that. Mm-hmm. But the solo game, once you take the gloves off and you start playing these solo games, they teach you like really different aspects of the game, because these guys have all the different characters have such a huge advantage, and they're going to put a lot of pressure on your choices. And I really, really love how the system is set up, and all their games have really intricate solo modes, and they become more and more, responsive to like the bigger gamer market. They have Mint Delivery, which is a pickup delivery game. They have a co-op game, which is Mint Cooperative, so it's kind of like superheroes. And then now they have Mint Control, which is actually on Kickstarter right now. It probably will close by the time this is going on, but yeah, I mean, they really keep them churning out, and they're not poor at all. They're not poor games.
Yeah, no, I think they work best as solo games. Playing Mint works like competitive is like, okay, there's not much that I can do. There's solo has some nice bite to it. You played the Mint games, right, Liz?
Yeah, actually, Mintworks was one of my earlier playthroughs when I first started my channel.
All right.
Like if you go all way back, there's an early playthrough.
Ignore sound quality. Ignore.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Like. One day I'll look at the videos I make now and think, man, what a chump. But now I look back at my earlier videos and I'm like, oh, wow, these are terrible.
Yeah.
But I leave them up for posterity.
There you go. All right. So that was number 6, Mintworks on Jeremy's list. In my number 6, a little bit of a weird one. I think the solo mode came way later. And I don't think this game was ever expanded, or like maybe it was expanded. I have no idea. But this is the Battle of Kimball's Cascade. Have you guys heard of this one at all?
What are you talking about?
The battle.
We're gonna find out.
The battle at Kimball's Cascade. It is Space Invaders, the board game. So you have your little ship, and you have the aliens that are like cars that are kind of coming down, and you have to fly on horizontal from space to space, and you're shooting at the ships, and as you're shooting, you're upgrading your ship. So like it's one of those games where it's like you shoot something, you get a little bit of XP, you get like energy, and you kind of like improve your ship, you get bigger guns, and you fly faster and whatever, and then it's like, and then you can blow up more, and then the cards kind of come by, and eventually you get like a big mothership. So like it takes the whole row. So by then, hopefully you've improved enough where you and whoever else, or you can play the solo now because they kind of like included bot rules, or like I forget exactly how the solo rules work. I played with a variant when I did play, and I think they took that variant and made it official. I'm not exactly sure how it does. I know I played the solo and I had a blast. I love Space Invaders. I don't love Space Invaders. I love the idea of Space Invaders. This board game is the best realized version of it because of all the upgrading, all the pew. It's not that long a game. It's simple fun. I love it. It is the Battle at Kimball's Cascade. They are staring at me going, what are you talking about? I've never heard of it.
It's in my cart right now. I'm searching for that game because you know how you have like space exploration games?
Yes.
But I also was a kid who really grew up like in the arcade. Where you had actual stand-up machines and you play. And you had to stand for long amounts of time, people. This is a scary thing nowadays. You had to stand up for enjoyment. So
it'd work out, man. I used to sweat at those old arcade games. I would get up and I'd be burning calories in that.
Lean on them, and yeah,
shaking them up,
yeah, shaking those sticks. I just love those types of. I love shooters like the crazy, what do they call them? Hell shooters or whatever we used to call them. And like any game that simulates that. Mm-hmm. Like even that, like trying to do that, I'll at least try because that's what I'm looking for. I love space exploration, but this would be something I'm more excited about and probably easily more accessible.
More excited, family friendly. You could definitely play this with a 6 or 7 year old. Give them a simple ship and the simple upgrades, and then there's enough kind of more complex upgrades to put in there to kind of give you that teeth of strategy. There's dice, of course. You have dice. I love this game.
Let's get risky.
The Battle at Kemble's Cascade, my number 6. All right, so we are halfway through the list. We have more goodies to come. Liz is going to hit you up with her number 5, top 10 Beyond the Hotness solo game.
I am. So my number 5, Jason, is actually one that you like, that you recommended to me at first. Mm-hmm. So my number 5 is V Commandos. It is a very fun little tactical World War II set stealth game that, stealth in board games is always sort of a funny business, but V Commandos is a fun attempt at it. It's a good time to play. There's a lot of interesting little strategies to it. And I am sad that it was never more widely available. Triton Noir doesn't really seem to have sold that game much through American retail, so I had to order it.
They just updated that, so now it is more readily available.
Fantastic. So take my advice. Go. Yeah. But the engine that runs V Commandos is also going to have a lot in common, a lot with the Assassin's Creed game that is coming. So V Commandos is the first iteration of this system, I guess. Mm-hmm. And, everybody's excited, but it's never good to forget one's roots. V Commandos is a delightful game.
It's a good game. It's not the stealth game that I want, because the way stealth works is a die roll as opposed to really calculating and basically stealth games, you watch the enemy's path and then you kind of react to the enemy pathing. Here it's there's no pathing, they're just kind of standing there, and then it's did I make my roll to hide in the bush? It's I didn't make my roll. All right, here we go, a firefight.
At the same time, how would you make that? I mean, that's the sort of video game stealth, right? But how would that work in a board game?
Yeah.
Let's see how it works in Assassin's Creed. Let's see if they figure that out.
I was going to say, I'm about to play a game right now. It's called Reichbusters, and I think they kind of do that same thing with dice, though. But it makes sense, because if you do a knife attack, there's no noise. But if you do a pistol or even a really cool jump kick kind of out of nowhere thing, you make noise, but then you roll to see how much noise on top of that. Right. So it's one noise is one die, but then how much is that amplified? I was oh, that's okay, because that line of sight thing is always going to be tough. It's just always going to be tough, how you make that happen. So maybe Metal Gear Solid, that Metal Gear game. I wonder how they do it in that game, because that is what Metal Gear is. So
that's my number 1 anticipated game of this year. Metal Gear Solid. Maybe
we'll see that.
I'll be very curious about it.
Yeah.
Number 5, Jeremy, top 10 Beyond the Hotness solo game.
5.
Number 5. Yeah.
Oh wow, I switched it.
Oops.
That's okay. No, that's okay. That's okay, because I was actually in between on this one too. This one is Big Book of Madness.
Okay.
Yeah. So Big Book of Madness.
You just did a stream on this, right?
I just did a stream the other day. Publisher sent me the new expansion, The Fifth Element, but I just forgot how much I love this game. Partly because I do like to get beaten a lot. This game, it is basically, you are in a Harry Potter school, you're students, and you're supposed to not open this book. You open this book, and all these different beasts or demons come out, fantastic beasts, that kind of thing. And what you're doing basically in this game is trying to control your elements. The elements make up your deck: fire, fire, air, water, and things like that. And you're playing these cards to try to get rid of these curses that are coming across the bottom of the board. You try to do that before it gets all the way across the board, because these spells are going to affect you as the round marker moves along. And if you don't defeat the monster and all the curses by the time that happens, you will lose the game if you get to the end. You're trying to get through the whole book. But you also have to worry about going mad along the way, because every time you go through your deck, you're going to be adding madness to your deck. And eventually, just like after the virus, you're going to kind of get overwhelmed by madness. And I just really like that mechanic, because you also have this cool thing where you can support each other. So you can take cards and play these spells that you can, support each other, burn cards from your deck. And there's even an upgrade to your spells in this game too. And those can be randomized, how they come out. yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on in this game, and it's very difficult. And this new expansion adds a kind of a phobia. So phobias are added, and they go into your support pile. So now you can't support someone because you're afraid, and those have effects. And now they have dark matter now, and that's adding a new book to the game. And there's just so much to it. And if you're in that magic theme, you'll love it. There's going to be a lot of interaction if you're playing with at least 2 players. But a solo two-handed, one of the best. One of the best. Mm-hmm. Definitely not talked about as much, partly because people couldn't handle getting beat up all the time in that game.
I thought it was a really bad game at 4 players. I thought the downtime was crazy.
Never want to play it at more than 2. It's too long.
Right. It was so long. And that's what totally turned me off to this game. But I think I should probably get back to the table solo or co-op or 2-player co-op and see how
you have to have 2 players. You would just get pounded if it was just you.
All right, so that was the 5th. Have you played Big Book of Madness, Liz?
Yeah, I have played it. It didn't really do it for me. Okay. But every game has a home and someone who should be playing it. So I'm glad that's getting some love.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, so my number 5. I am normally not a Phil Eklund person because his designs tend to be very big and chunky, and although I like how his approach is, he tends to be kind of thematic with his stuff. It's just very complicated for me. But this one, part of the small box Dominata series, the first one is Neanderthal. Neanderthal is a delight. as kind of chunky and complicated as it is delightful. It's you're playing like one of 3. It's a 1 to 3 player game, which is a really kind of weird player count. But you're playing of 1 of 3. Either what is it? Neanderthal man, Cro-Magnon man, and like Archaic man or something. Yeah. And you have these tokens. It's basically a resource management game. Like you have tokens that represent your speech. And you're cashing in these tokens to try to upgrade your characters, kind of evolve him. And then there's this quote unquote worker placement part where you're kind of playing your workers onto a tableau of cards, and what you do on those cards will improve your own character. So you're basically evolving your character using resources, and it's really thinky, but it's thinky in the best ways because I always have a rule, you can have your game as complicated as you want as long as it's thematic. When you start to lose the theme and it just becomes only mechanism, then you lose me. Yep. But if you can keep that theme, you can make it as complicated as you want. And this game does that. This game is chunky, has great decisions, it's burny. Like it does reach that brain burning stage, but I can still see myself evolving my little, monkey man, or whatever it is. I really, really dig Neanderthal. There's a follow-up, I believe, called Greenland that I have not played. Yeah. But these are definitely games that I'm interested in because of the first game, so I'm going to definitely take a look at it. So that was Neanderthal. Have you played, Jeremy?
I was so interested in this when I first came back into board games, mm-hmm. and I just didn't get it. I just didn't get it. That one, Neanderthal in Greenland. Yeah. Yeah. I just never got them. I don't know why.
Super good.
No, why.
Not for
I'm trying to get rid of games, man. You got me in my cart right now. Gremlins music begins.
So we are on number 4?
Number 4, yes.
All right, so my number 4 is now out of print, but you can still get copies if you are patient. And it is a game that a lot of people mispronounce as limes, but it's in fact limes, which is the Roman word for like boundaries or thresholds. And it is...
Of course it is.
Of course it is. It is a delightful little, it's not tiles because it's cards, but you have these little square cards that you lay down in various configurations to try to maximize your score for different, geographical configurations. So put the water together in certain ways or put the fields together in certain ways, and you put out meeples where you think you're going to score. And it's just such a pleasant, quick, snappy little game. And it's one of those ones that I find myself thinking about and kind of having a hankering to play with regularity. And so it's one of the ones that's kind of got into my system. And I really, really enjoy it. I wish that they would reprint it. I guess they probably won't. But, it's just one of those games that is light and fun and just thinky enough. for when you don't want to burn your brain like Sprawlopolis, but you do want some sort of interesting card-laying experience.
Did you say Sprawlopolis?
No, Lime's is the game. But Sprawlopolis is bomb. I love that game.
Yeah.
I have not played Lime's, so it has appeared on the solo list. I know Morton Monrad Pedersen. Hi, Mort. I know you're listening. He emailed whenever, because I mentioned him a lot because I read his blog and I get stuff off his blog to talk about, and then he'll email me every single time with like some correction or something I'm doing wrong. Lee Mays, I got it pronounced correctly. I have not played it, but it sounds like fun.
It is
Jeremy. All right, Jeremy, hit me with the number 4.
Number 4 is one of the games that I played coming back into the hobby, kind of probably in the first year or so. And this game is just one of my favorite games. It's so fun. And nobody really wants to play with me that often. And that's okay. I don't care because it's an awesome solo game. And that is Pursuit of Happiness, the Pursuit of Happiness by Strong Games.
I wanted to try that.
This number game, 12, Jeremy, number 12 for me.
It
I love that game.
Such a fun game.
It's so like, good. It really is.
It's basically like you're playing through your life. Like you create a life. You start out as these different types of people. You go through there's 9 stages. There's like 9 stages of the game. And it basically simulates parts of your life. Like your teenage, you start out as a teenager.
Right.
And then you just move into your adult. And you go through stages of your adult. And what happens is during that time, you're going to be, going through experiences, and it's worker placement. So you're spending time, which is your worker placement spot, to do certain things in your life. Like you can go on to do certain activities that help build you up, that make you healthy, and you want to track your happiness and your health. And you're also going about getting married and getting in relationships. You can go up the corporate ladder. You can have two kids. You can earn a salary. You can retire. You can do all these different couch. Things. Or you have a community expansion, so you can go and help out the community and do different activities, and people believe in you, and you get better scores for that. And then we have this one right here, which is life experiences. I'm just really excited about this game, and the coolest part about it is if you stay happy enough and you live a healthy life, like do yoga and be a vegetarian, you can stay alive. But at the end, towards the end of the game, it shifts totally. And you start dying. You die every game, like you die. So you live.
The coolest part of the game is that you die.
You live your life. You live your life. So let's say you had the top level job. You're rich. You've been paying all this money. You got all these different types of things, and then you have like 3 girlfriends. Because you add the stress to your life, and you add stress. Mm-hmm. So it's like as soon as you get to old age, like your meter just goes like straight across and you die because you're living a stressful life.
I have won that game both ways. I've won that game living until 90 years old, doing the yoga and eating these salads and everything. But I've also won the game dying at 50 and like all the jobs and all the...
It's like, and the cool part is that when you do play with somebody else or when you play by yourself, like you can just tell this horrific story about like you can just make up a story about how this person was their whole life, and just it's a really fun journey, like because you're laying out this tableau of things that you've been doing in your life, things you have to maintain, salary you earn, expectations of your spouse. And like I said, if you have multiple spouses, there's that. And you can even change your level. You're going to have a certain level of commitment to these things and what you want to invest in. This is really good choices, a huge stack of experiences. So the more you add, the more promos you had. I'm looking at the one from the recent Kickstarter. You'll have so many cards and experiences to have. And that's the only downside is sometimes the way the fall of the cards comes, you got to kind of deal with it. You may not see things that you want to see, that you need. But... I mean, it's still just one ride. It's just an awesome ride. This game is the gift that keeps on giving. Really good.
Just missed my list. You keep on hitting my short list there, Jeremy.
Yeah.
So we're almost in the same wavelength.
Yeah.
So my number 4 is a favorite of mine, a dear person in the board game community, Dr. Steve Finn. His game, Cosmic Run Regeneration. So I like quick dice games. I have a soft spot in my heart for them because I just love dice and the feel of them and everything. And I don't ordinarily love space. But This one is so simple. Like you have, ships, 5 different ships, 5 different lanes going to 5 different planets, and you're rolling dice and you're assigning them depending on where you want to go, and you kind of pushing your luck. So like you can make a simple pair and travel one ship up, and that's a long track. Or you can kind of hold out and go for that 3 of a kind, 4 of a kind, 5 of a kind. Use your mitigation, use your alien cards to kind of, get yourself in a position where you can hit that like long track. And the solo game, I thought was really I love the way he did it because, and it's funny, I talked to him about it. He's like, how'd you come up with it? He's like, I was trying to solve a problem. I didn't really mean for it to be anything special. But what happens is you use the points that you would get in multiplayer. Now that's resources that you can use to kind of like build shields and defend yourself against like the meteors that are coming. And I thought that was a really great flip on using victory points. Now they're resources for you. So you're scoring, but the scoring is just to keep you alive as opposed to actually, trying to compete against somebody else. So, I still play it, and that's and you guys know we're reviewers.
Yeah.
How many games do you like take back out?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not too many.
Not too
This
many.
is definitely, this is a, I have a small list of games on my end table that I keep in my end table near my bed. And this is definitely one of those games that I keep in my beds because every once in a while I'm like, you know what? I just want to just play this 15 minutes and then go to sleep.
Yeah.
So that's definitely it. I love Dr. Finn's designs. He's not a thematic designer at all. He's very mechanically driven, but I love that he tries to make clean, simple designs, and definitely this is one of them. Sunset Over Water almost made this list, but I wanted to go with just a fun dice game. So we're going to go with Cosmic Regeneration.
Yeah, I've never played that game.
All right. No, it's really good. I like it.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go with number 3. We are heading into rarefied air up here. Number 3, Liz.
So my number 3 is my favorite roll and write that I don't think anybody else likes as much as I like it. It's not that obscure. It's just underloved, in my opinion. And that is Castles of Burgundy dice. People like Castles of Burgundy. People like Castles of Burgundy, the card game. But not enough people seem to appreciate the dice game. I actually like the dice game a lot better than I like the card game. You basically have like your little estate, and you roll dice, and you take pairs of, a die that's one color and a die that's a number, and you get different powers throughout the game that allow you to change one or the other in order to, actually make it work for your estate. There's certain restrictions for what colors can go with what number, etc. But, it's just such a pleasant little game. I find myself playing it a bunch of times in a row. I've taken it to the doctor's office and just played it a bunch in there because the box lid is perfect. There's like a little mini dice tray for this game. Mm-hmm. And it's only like $15. I feel like it's a lot of bang for your buck. And that actually does matter to me.
Yeah.
And probably a lot more people these days. So I'm a big fan. It's just, I just feel like it's one of those games that, maybe it's not going to be, your number one solo game of all time, but it's one of those solid ones that you just kind of want to play sometimes. And it just gives you that good homey, like, oh, this is a cozy game kind of feeling. And I love it for that.
Any comments about Castleberg dice game, Jeremy? You're like,
I'm just not a huge fan of Castles of Burgundy, but I did play this one time, and I wasn't like into it at the time. I might give that one another shot because I'm always looking for these games that I can take with me and throw in my bag. And I've already mentioned Metro X, but there's several games like we had. What was that, Fleet the Dice game, which I think people know about that one, or like Cartographers. I like those type of roll and write games that I can just kind of throw in my backpack because I always have my backpack.
They're expanding? Are they expanding Fleet the Dice game this year? Or?
No. Oh yeah. They add like a mini thing to it, to Fleet Dice. They're going to have a second edition as well. So yeah.
All right. So number 3, Jeremy, Beyond the Hotness solo game.
I just called it.
He got a smile.
I called a super audible on myself here. Because I actually decided, what I did was I decided to pick a game that I'm looking for. And this box got destroyed, and I just let the game go. It's called Escape from 100 Million BC. And yeah.
Really? That game?
So here's the deal.
That game is fine. What are you talking about? That game is fine. Are you serious?
I'm just going to throw it in there. It's totally breaking the rule. I'm just totally breaking. Let's just go. This game, this is broken. Okay? It doesn't belong on this list.
Do you think?
It doesn't belong on this list. Let's just go with this. It
just doesn't.
Okay? I'm going to throw it in here, and I'm going to break another rule at the end. All right. Okay,
Fine,
thank you.
do it.
So, in this ridiculous random dice chucker.
Mm-hmm.
Very random.
Big board,
self-heating.
big, lots of tiles.
I would say a very self-heating dice chucker, because you will get angry if you do not roll these dice right.
Yes.
You are basically, and you will get heated by setting this game up. But boy, I'm having weird memories of this game. But in this game,
it takes a long time.
The theme is just such a cool idea. So it's like Land of the Lost. I don't know if you remember that show. I'm old. But you kind of go back into this time paradox, and you come through these time machines. And what happens is that people from different parts of history come through there, and you're trying to guide them to where they need to go. But ultimately, you're trying to get together this time machine and get back. And there's different monsters that come out, and you're chucking these dice to kind of solve things out. But I don't know. This is the first game I think I played with exploding dice. So it was very exciting to me, because it's like I think it's like if you roll like 4, 5s, and 6s, you can kind of like keep rolling. And then you could have like where you're chucking like 9 dice at once trying to get, these results. And I just thought that was so cool at the time when I was an idiot and I was new to the board game. Like, this game was so random and it was so swingy. Like, I can't even excuse that. But I'm like Jason, and I'm not going to let you out, Jason. I do like chucking some die. And this game is at the heart. I mean, at the heart, it is no excuses. We're chucking dice and letting it ride. Like you are at the fate. There is no mitigation.
I have seen.
You are at the fate of those dice.
You want mitigation? Roll more dice.
Yeah, you just get more dice, and it's like, okay, you rolled all once.
That's
okay, you failed. Move forward. Like, that monster's going to hit you twice, and you're going to die.
I have seen this game at a bargain basement for $4.
Wow. Hey guys, I just want to let you know that if you listen to this podcast, buy it for $4. Don't go over $10. My number 3. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. My number 3.
Hey, the heart wants what the heart wants, Jeremy. It's okay.
That path is off. I'm off that. Escape from 100 million BC. Shout out to Kevin Wilson, great designer. Wow. One of his worst games.
I thought it was fun. I
had fun with it. It's just that setup is like a beast. You're like, whoa! I got to put all these tiles down. You're flipping over, which is kind of cool.
Shuffle all these decks.
Yeah, it's got cool mechanisms to it. It's just that at the end, everything is resolved by these ridiculous dice. But it's fun. You can just throw them all around in your tray, and that's kind of cool. But yeah.
All right, so my number 3 is a game that I actually play.
$10, guys.
I recently paid my own money for the expansion for this game, which was kind of came and went, but whatever. This one is Professor Evil and the Citadel of Time.
Yeah.
So it is a cooperative game in the style of like a Burgle Brothers. It's like a heist. You're going in there, you're trying to steal back from the professor. The evil professor is animated by dice, and he's just kind of running around, and he, as you are trying to steal things that he stole. So like, he's this time traveling professor. So you're stealing back, the pyramids of Giza and the Queen's Diamond, which are basically just tiles. So then you're trying to steal, and you're trying to unlock the gates that are trapping the different things. So you kind of go doing all that. But the professor is also running around too. And as soon as he hits you, he'll boot you out and kind of screw up your plans. So then what I love about this game is the bot is really random. It's really random, and it can be frustrating. And, because you have the professor, he's all the way on the other side of the board. There's no chance he's going to get you. And all of a sudden you roll the magic thing that he just really needs to get you. And it's like, oh my God, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
However, the game gives you tools to mitigate those really, really bad turns by having really, really awesome turns to make up for it. So then you get powers of your own for each character, and then you get like a one-shot, once per game, basically, power, which is like, this game-breaking thing. So if this bad thing happens to you, you can kind of like get it all back. And I love that they trapped that big swing in the context of a game. Usually games are like kind of more tightly designed than that. This one's like, forget it. We are going to bone you, but at least we're going to give you the tool to get it back. So I love the guts of that, and I love the fun. This game is just F-U-N fun.
Yeah.
That is Professor Evil and the Citadel of Time.
All right, yeah.
So that's what
All
I
right.
love that game.
Yeah, that's going in the cart.
Wow, Jeremy, you're getting rid of games.
I'm getting rid of games, man.
You just play all those once and then pass them on.
That's exactly what I'm going to do.
All right, Liz. Number 2, Beyond the Hotness top 10 solo game.
Yeah, so my number 2 is a game that was one of the war games that has been formerly more prized on the People's Choice Top 100, but it now exists in the 3rd edition that I'm in the process of reviewing, and that is Conflict of Heroes: Awakening the Bear from Academy Games. It's got very nice card run AI, and basically it's a game where you drive tanks around and try to shoot stuff. I mean, that sounds, I mean, you know, it's a war game, but it has more streamlined rules where, you know, you're doing combat and you're trying to manage how many sort of command resources that you have to push your guys to the max, and you have to wonder, like, do I hold back a little bit? Do I push all the way? You know, what can I get away with in terms of making sure that I'm ready for the next thing, but I've also attacked as hard as I can. And, you know, there's lots of firefights and looking at different terrain on the map and, you know, moving your dudes around. And, like, there are chits in it, but they're nice and they're big and they're chunky in 3rd edition. And there's you know, it's just a really satisfying game, and there's a whole bunch of different little scenarios that you can try, and, you know, the units are balanced in interesting ways, and I just really get a real kick out of it. It's a very pleasant solo experience.
Mm-hmm. It's a Waro.
Yeah, probably more war, but it's got a little bit of that Euro
It's got a
streamlining.
little bit of enough like gamer stuff.
Yeah, I
to
think
kind of
that
make people come in.
I think it's a good crossover. I think that somebody who does not normally play war games could play Conflict of Heroes and feel pretty comfortable.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
There you go.
All right, so that was Conflict of Heroes 3rd edition. I think we reviewed the 2nd edition over like way back, like 2 years
Yeah,
ago.
but it's still around,
yeah.
and it's even better. So,
All right, that was number 2, I believe. Right,
Yes,
number
number
2.
two.
All right, Jeremy, this better be much better than your number 3. You need to
Okay,
redeem
hold on,
yourself.
guys. Hold on, guys.
None of this Raiders of the Lost Sea
Pipe down.
type stuff.
Pipe down. Pipe down. Pipe down. All right. So this game, I think it may be back now. Actually, I don't think this game is really that popular, honestly. I think it's like amongst people who are really, really, really entrenched in solo. They may think this is popular, but it's not, partly because it wasn't accessible. Now it is here, and hopefully people are playing it. Still don't hear people talking about it all the time, and that is Coffee Roaster. Coffee Roaster is not a good game. It's a great game. Liz, you can just go ahead and pump the brakes. Tuck it in there. Saw your review on Dice Tower. Okay.
Deal with it.
I have kind words, and I don't really need your opinion on this
That's
game.
right.
But it
Clap
is
your trap.
a bag building game where you're trying to make coffee recipes from around the world, and what you're trying to do is kind of thin your bag off from having like nasty coffee beans in it. And what you're doing is each round you're drawing these beans from a bag, different types of beans, and when you put them back in the bag, they're going to go up 1. They can go up to 4, start at 0, and they go to 4. And if they go to 4, they burn. But you're trying to make different types of recipes, and you have different abilities that can help you as you pull the bags out when you're ready to serve it at the end and make the coffee. But it's got like just a neat little touch of like, just making these little decisions. There's going to be randomness of what you pull out the bag anyway, and you're going to be pulling more and more chits out the bag every round. But, you're making decisions with what you have. It's not like, I don't know. It's one of those games that like you only really are making choices with what you got. It's not like, you can make this huge strategy. You have different.
Not a lot of planning ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no planning ahead. You just know that like I can use this, this ability that has me split these 2 in half. I can use this ability that puts these back in my bag and gets rid of these terrible, burnt things right here. And that's the choices you make. You kind of know what numbers are in there. You kind of know exactly what recipe number you have to hit and what the special scoring conditions are. And you lay it out and hope for the best. And I just 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, play a couple times. There you go. Like it's just perfect for me. Like that's perfect for what I need sometimes. And I'll play that game, be watching something, watch a movie, play it like 2 or 3 times, put it away. It's done.
It's also a decent app.
Yeah, the app's pretty good too.
Mm-hmm. You did love it, right, Liz?
The app is really good.
I like Coffee Roaster. I think it's perfectly good. As bag builders go, actually, it's not here yet officially, but I liked Warp's Edge better.
Yeah, Warp's Edge is really good.
It's real good. So, I mean, as bag builders go,
it's tough.
I just think that we could do better.
You know what?
Warp's Edge was just on Kickstarter. Both Jeremy and Liz did previews for that.
So Warp's Edge is so good that I kept the prototype. I kept it. I kept it. It's got the bag. I would still play it. It's that good.
I still think about that one.
Yeah.
And think, I can't wait for a review copy of that to come around. That was good.
Yeah.
There you go.
I can't wait for that one. Yeah, I can't wait.
All right. So number 2, Jeremy. That was your number 2 for Coffee Roaster, right?
Yeah.
All right. So my number 2 is also a little random game. Liz, you reviewed this in your channel. You thought it was okay. I really, really dig this game. Not because it's amazing, but because it's for me. I want tableau building, I want card play, I want dice rolling. Mageling. Mageling is a very, very cute little dice rolling game. It just, again, it's right, pew, shoot the arrow and hit the little target, and that target is shaped like my heart. And just everything that I want in a game, so replayable, so the substructure of the game is so solid. There's just very mathematically crafted, which, I'm a thematic gamer. What do I want with a mathematically crafted game? I want something that can withstand multiple plays. And I've played this game 40, 50 times, and I'm still finding combos, and I'm still exploring slight tweaks to strategy to kind of make my way. What you're trying to do is trying to build your tableau, trying to build up a lot of energy and progress a character 5 spaces, and you have to spend a little bit of energy progressing this character along a path. And I love Mageling. I've talked about it a lot, so I kind of feel a little bit bad for people who've heard me talk about it a couple times. But this is an obscure solo games list. Maybe this is the only episode of ENGN you'll listen to all year. I know what the numbers look like when I do top 10 lists. They're way bigger. So I know there are some people who only listen to my top 10 list. So here you go. Mageling is my number 2. It came out last year. I really, really love it.
Do it. Express your love.
Yes. All right. So now we have arrived. Number 1 obscure solo game. I have a feeling this won't cross over, but it'll be entertaining if it does.
I don't know that it will.
No, I won't. It's not even close.
I don't think so.
No chance.
Okay.
No
We have done our job. We've come up with some obscure solo game.
No chance.
Congratulations. That's to us. All right. Liz, hit us up with your number 1 obscure solo game, Beyond the Hotness.
All right. So my number 1 obscure solo game actually went out of print within the last year. DVG quit publishing it, and I was so sad in my heart. And it is Cards of Cthulhu.
What?
It's just, I love that game. It's so chill.
Okay.
It's the chillest game about ancient ones that you can play. You just have these multiple boards with little cultists that show up, and if there's enough of them, they can awaken horrors of various magnitudes.
Mm-hmm.
You play as these characters that have interesting little special abilities. Sometimes you can buy spells depending on what you roll with these super chunky dice that look awesome. And your experience is also calculated with these neat little coins that look awesome. My biggest complaint about the game is that there aren't enough chunky dice and cool coins in there. And I think with one of the DVG Kickstarters that I backed in the last couple of years, they offered a little pack of those. It's a little extra. So I'm waiting for that because I just really like that game. I bought the expansion for it. And it's one of those ones that's not really that much to look at. And it's so simple. But I just like pulling it out. Actually, I'm thinking about one of these afternoons when I'm done with my office hours and I just want to relax. I'm probably going to pull out Cards of Cthulhu and just be the world is ending, but this card game is so chill because that's just the function that game performs for me. I just really think it's underappreciated. I do like a lot of really heavier games and chunkier games but sometimes you just want something simple and nice. And for me, that is Cards of Cthulhu.
Yep.
Never played it.
Yeah, this was one of the games, what was her name? Solo McLaughlin. I remember.
Yes.
When I was getting into games, she had this one on there, and I watched her play. And I didn't want the game, but I just like watching her play the game. I just remember that experience because she's so good at like her presence and how she does things, her pace, the pace of how she plays, and how she talks about the game. It makes her choices, and I was just like, this is very pleasing to watch, and I don't like this game. Shout out to Solo.
Nice.
She's amazing. She's amazing.
All right, Jeremy, nerd number 1.
Okay, so I did make an audible before, and this is my this is my
good
Can I get a number 1 here? Can I get a number?
Oh man, do not show me Tiny Epic. Do not.
Oh god. Oh god. So this actually is the proof that I think great games can come in small packages. Now, the game that was my number 3 that I called audible on was Sprawlopolis. Sprawlopolis is the true definition of fun should be easy, but when you learn easy and you realize that you haven't scored any points, you've scored negative points, maybe it wasn't so easy. so Sprawlopolis it's by Button Shy Games, and it's one of the games that it's 18 cards. Their concepts are 18 cards in that area, and in this game you are building kind of routes in a city ish. Each one of the cards has like roads on it, and then it also has 4 different colors which represent like industrial, whatever like that. So the color matches are basically you're going to take these cards and you're going to put them on top of each other to try to connect the roads, and whichever ones don't meet, you're going to get negative points for. Now, that's the basic premise, but on the back of each card are different scoring conditions. So you are not only going to find out how you want to score this game, but you're also going to find the scoring threshold that you must beat in order to win the game. And often you will not win the game, but you will have fun trying to win the game. And it's just one of the best games about like making tough decisions with what you have. And like, what can you're just like, I have to just let that go. That those roads are just going to not match up. Or, they're just not going to match up. And then I didn't see that one there, and that didn't match up either. So that's minus 10 points. Now, how am I going to get the rest of these points back? And you may struggle just to get 17 points, and you need 17 points. So really good puzzle game. But my number one game.
I was going to say, this is not exactly beyond the hotness. Not exactly.
No, Sprawlopolis is beyond the hotness. I don't even think a lot of people know about Button Shy Games at all, because when I mention them, they don't even know. Like, seriously, most of the time in solo groups, most people don't even know. This game is actually the true definition of that, and I call it the game of the decade for a reason. This is the game of the decade for a reason. In Mage Knight, my favorite game is in that decade. It is called Circle the Wagons.
Okay.
So Circle the Wagons. This is the reason why. Circle the Wagons is great because it's the true definition of fun. Like, easy fun. It shouldn't take long. It shouldn't take all your time. And the best part about this is it's a really good game, two-player, and then it's also a very good game solo. So same thing as Sprawlopolis. You're going to have cards that have goals on the back sides of them. And you're going to have 18 cards, and there's going to be 18 different ways you can score, basically. And you're going to have these in a circle, okay? And the AI is going to take turns taking these cards and trying to build up ways to kind of overlap the cards to fit the scoring conditions. But it's got this kind of like cool thing where if you pick up a card in a certain part of the circle and then you skip spots, the other player gets to take the ones behind it. And the AI kind of does a version of that and builds their own little thing, and then you try to score a certain amount of points. I played this game so much. So much. And I still suck at it, but I love this game. It is so good that I think I have had at least 20 plus copies and given them away. And it's just because pound for pound, I feel like it's the best game. It's a game that you should have on you all the time, especially if you're like a couples gamer,
right.
It's like a game you should just have on you. Like like if a woman should have it in her purse, or you can just take the cards out and put them in your wallet. I mean, whatever.
Or like a game at a diner.
Yeah, like literally, it is the game. And I just, those two right there, I mean, they both could be the number one, but I just feel like Button Shy has done such a great job with making these little solo card games. And those two are like the pinnacle.
Very nice.
Of, like,
Super Sprawlopolis between those two is clearly the one. I really, really, really like Sprawlopolis.
I love Sprawlopolis, but it's just something about Circle the Wagons, man. It just... Simplicity is fun, man. Simplicity is fun.
There you
Simplicity is fun.
So my number one is not simple. I am going the exact opposite way of simple and small. This box I have up in my shelf right now is big, it's honking, it's heavy. It is a game by a company that doesn't release a lot of games, and they put a lot of craft and a lot of kind of madness into their games. The company is Mind Clash. But the game is not the game that you might hear. See, Mind Clash makes Anachrony. It is not Anachrony, even though Anachrony is great. It is not... shaking their head.
No, it's great.
It is not Tricarion, so that game just released its special edition. Not that one. It is Cerebria, the Inside World. I love... Oh my god, my voice is terrible.
Yeah.
I love Cerebria. I love it. It is a card-driven, area-controlled tug of war. Uh-oh. Are you looking for it? Is it there? Is it over there?
No, I just forgot one of my favorite games ever that is not on this list. We can talk about it after. We can talk about it right after. We can talk about it right after this.
Right after. We'll do
go.
honorable mentions. But no, Cerebria is absolutely... I basically, when we discussed the list, and we're like, okay, what are some games nobody's talking about? I said, okay, Cerebria, and then let's make another 9. So that one no one talks about it. It didn't get a great review from Tom Vassell. Jeremy's bringing something to the fore.
Go ahead.
It's my favorite type of very tactical, highly puzzly, but not like a strategic puzzle. Like every turn is a new adventure to kind of like, okay, the board state is this. What can I do to completely change around the board state, but to get a little bit more, to win that tug of war? And if you can kind of trigger a scoring condition in that your moves, and it's brain burning, it's fun. Solo, I love it. Obviously with more players, there's a lot of burning, thinking in downtime and everything. But the bot is beautiful. Nick Shaw, who has also listened to the show, thank you so much for that bot.
Nick Shaw did the bot. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Okay. I haven't owned that game. That's something that's important.
Put it on the list.
I have not gotten it to the table in a while, but if in this quarantine area, if I get a free time, it's on the top of the list of things to land back on the table. It is Cerebria, the Inside World, my number one.
Yeah.
So, Jeremy, do you have some buyer's remorse over there? Do you want to replace Escape from 100 Million BC with something good?
Oh, man, dude. Oh, I cannot believe I put that utter garbage on this list. I'm so sorry. I am sorry. Please, man.
Oh, man. I'm not really sure you get to talk all that smack about Terraforming Mars now, man.
Exactly.
I don't deserve you guys. I don't deserve your ears. But allow me, because I think people don't ever talk about this game. And it's probably because it's a beast of a setup, and it came out from a very small publisher, Placentia Games, I believe it is. And it's called Wendake. It came out 4 years ago, I think. And it is...
Across the Pond. It was a European game.
Was that? Yeah. It came out across the pond. And I'm not even going to touch on that, but it came out across the pond. And basically, it's just about I can't remember, but it's Wendake is the name for Wendat, people of a traditional territory around the Huron Lake. So Huron Nation, Great Lakes. So basically, you're just it's a whole bunch of different kind of worker placement spots and setting up your tribes across different areas and going and fishing in certain areas and things like that, and kind of how you're warding people off. You're trying to protect your people, spread them around, but it's got so many cool things going on in this game, and it starts with this action selection board that you have. So it's basically like a tic-tac-toe type board, and you have these slots of actions on there, and there are going to be different actions that go on around the board. So, like you'll have a fishing one, but you also have this one that's like, not witch doctor, but it's like a kind of like you have these things where you have the masks that represent the different cultures that are in there. And you have that, and you kind of do a set collection for that. You have a spirit thing that you do as well. But all these tiles, what happens is you try to sync them up as you upgrade, and you take the actions in one row, column, or diagonal for that turn. And then when the round is over, they slide one down, and then you can upgrade and then change your board for the next little like arrow or round. It's been a couple years since I played this, and now that it is down off of the shelf, I mean, this game is like, I'm serious. Like, this game is very good. It is like, I just don't know why anybody just doesn't go like, I don't, thousands of people in these groups that I see. No one ever talks about this game. Yeah. Ever.
I like you can get smallpox in this game.
Like if I said, yeah, oh man, it's got this cool little thing. No, I'm serious. Like it actually has a cool little thing.
If you go to the a certain Native American vendor, he can give you like a smallpox blanket. It's amazing.
Yeah, like so. Yeah, if you trade, you do like a trade, and when you do that, you flip it over, and if you flip over the mask and it has a you get smallpox, and that person dies. So it's like,
oops.
Yeah, I know. But it has so many cool little mechanisms in it. It's just such an underappreciated game. This game is so good, man. When Docket and Renegade brought it over, and what they did really well, unlike a lot of people do, is they did this great thing where they give you this full-on historical handbook with it, and talk about just the history that's going on, and also like different type of things that are happening in the culture, and it's really, really well done. Other publishers and designers, please take heed. This is a really good opportunity to really delve deep into the actual history of the games you make, and they did a great job with it, which is why I support it.
You don't got to tell me and Liz. We're doing history chats. We got a one coming up maybe in a little while, depending on what Liz can get. We'll see.
Yeah, this one's a special.
Liz, you're gonna fly in with a game that you forgot, or did you have is your list like crafted and honed and to perfection?
I mean, I wouldn't say it was crafted and honed to perfection,
well, mine certainly was.
The other games that I would put on there are games that I've already talked about a lot. Like people who read any of my stuff know, like I love Wars of Marcus Aurelius. I think it's underappreciated. I love stuff like Pavlov's House. You know, like I like all those kind of crossover,
right?
Yeah.
You know, gamery war games, but I feel like I don't need to belabor that point here. People have heard me yammer on about that enough. So
I forgot Archmage. That one, I love Archmage, and it's clunky as heck solo, but I like it a lot.
No, we could keep on going, man. We could just keep on naming like hundreds of solo games. We've come to you like at least 30 should tide you over. So if you are in the house and you don't have too much to do, and hopefully by the time that this episode comes out, it will be kind of like on the other end of some of that. We'll be able to kind of get back into our lives. But in the meantime, we have a lot of solo games for you beyond the Hotness. Hopefully we got some suggestions. Jeremy's cart is full of at least 5 suggestions that we've made.
Thank you.
Liz, Jeremy, it is always a pleasure having you guys on the show.
It's always good to talk to y'all.
Yeah, thank you.